So today I want to talk about nutrition versus calories. I've been talking a lot about calories and metabolism recently, but the quality of the food and what you eat has a huge impact on energy, how you feel, if you're bloated all day, and ultimately if you have the energy, the libido, and the drive in order to reach your goals. So like I said, we know that the amount of food that you eat matters for weight loss, building phase, metabolism, and everything, but what you eat matters as well. A really good balanced diet is going to have four main components in it. It's going to have protein, vegetables, fruits, and nuts. Now, the reality is that we could eat, if we want to go to a deficit, and our deficit is, 2,000 calories from our maintenance level of 2,200 calories, we could eat Twinkies for 2,000 calories, and in theory, you would lose weight. You would also lose bone density, muscle mass. You would feel like absolute shit. So that's why it's important that the amount that you eat in terms of calories is important, not quantity of food, calories. That is important, but the quality of your food is also important because that's what's going to help drive you from an energy standpoint, a libido standpoint, in order to feel good, move more, and ultimately reach your goals. In addition to those four main food groups that I was talking about, you could add in another one, a fifth one, which would be the whole grains and starchy vegetables. Think about kind of like your complex kind of carbohydrates in there. I have my clients, utilize this as another source for carbohydrates and energy. But the four that I think are important are these four as well. Nuts is, you can kind of add those in as snacks. I think that's when those are best utilized. If you focus on the three of protein, vegetables, and fruits, I think that's great. And then adding in some, whole grains and starchy vegetables can kind of have a nice, well-rounded diet as well. Now, for examples of proteins, right? If you are a meat eater, you want to have complete proteins. So any kind of like protein powders, some protein sources from vegetables are not really complete proteins, meaning they don't have all 9 essential amino acids. If I'm eating those in higher quantities, you can have a lot of bloating as well. So if you are a meat eater or you don't mind eating animal meat, I would definitely throw some of that in. Whether that's, and animal meats is anything from, fishes, beef, chicken, poultry, anything like that. Really any meat from an animal would be also a complete protein. But you can also have dairies. So they really have good dairy products out there. It could be cottage cheeses or yogurts as well, and then eggs on top of that. So I think these are your 3 kind of main sources of protein that's going to give you all 9 essential amino acids. Now, the biggest issue with veggie options is that if I'm going to go, the veggie route, the biggest issue with that is that I have to eat more quantity-wise of that food, if it is a complete protein, in order to get the same amount of protein from a meat option. So 6 ounces of chicken is going to give me way more protein than if I ate 6 ounces of a vegetable option like a quinoa. Like 6 ounces of quinoa, 6 ounces of chicken, I'm gonna get way more protein from the chicken than I am from the quinoa. So just kind of keep that in mind. You do want to have complete protein options if you go the veggie route, and there are plenty of good options for that, but the quantity that you'll have to eat to get the same amount from an animal product is going to be drastically more. It could be double or even triple the amount. With the veggie option, eggs is, I think, the one of the best thing. It's as close to an animal product in terms of animal meats in terms of its makeup as it can get. The area, like I was just talking before about chicken and having 6 ounces, the egg option is going to give you a great complete protein. You won't have to eat near as much of it as you would a tofu or a quinoa in order to get the same amount of protein. So it's a great option to add in to your diet as well. But in terms of protein options, these I think are the best options for you. There are more kind of vegetable options besides, like, tofu and quinoa. I forgot to write tempeh on there, but tempeh is also really good as well. The whole point of this video is to not overcomplicate things for you. I spent a little bit of time kind of breaking down proteins, but for vegetables, right, I want you guys to keep it simple. That's going to give you the best results. So think dark greener vegetables, think like your broccolis, your spinaches, some of like your darker, leafier green vegetables, asparaguses, Brussels sprouts, things like that are going to give you the best micronutrient makeup. You can have like peppers and onions and, you know, like carrots and things like that. Those things are all fine. I think the focus of your diet should be in the dark greener vegetables. Now for your fruits, the first and foremost at the forefront of that compartment should be berries. So we're thinking blueberries, raspberries, strawberries, you know, blackberries, any kind of thing that, you know, is a berry. It's going to have the most antioxidant makeup. It's going to give you the most nutrients in it as well. So that's kind of where you want to start, or that should be a key component of your daily diet. After that, right, I just have then the others, right? So you can have your apples, your oranges, you know, your bananas. All those things are great. There's nothing wrong with those. But I think if I'm going to say you can only have one serving of fruit a day, which you should eat, you know, more, two, maybe three, at the front of that, I would put berries. Then onto your kind of whole grains and starchy vegetables, thinking like potatoes, oats, rices, beans, quinoa. The thing when you get into protein options, especially veggies, they are going to cross paths with some kind of like whole grains and starchy vegetables, kind of in that same category. Because quinoa and beans, like in nature, by like the definition, the makeup of them is they are primarily a carbohydrate source with high amounts of protein in there. So if I'm, you know, vegan or vegetarian, I'm eating those options, those are great as protein. You just have to understand that those are primarily a carbohydrate source. So you have to be aware of kind of, like I said, the quantity of them and the protein to the carb ratio. Not for like overeating, but for just overall hitting your protein target. So if I'm doing all of these things, if I'm eating, you know, hitting my protein targets, right? I'm eating, you know, vegetables, you know, 1 to 2 servings a day of that, 1 to 2 servings a day of fruits. I'm eating, you know, 1 serving, maybe 2 servings of whole grains and starchy vegetables. If those 4 or 5 things is the focus of my diet, that's going to lead you to have a nice, well, complete and rounded diet. But what that's going to lead to then is energy, sleep, recovery, even stress management. Because a lot of the foods that we eat, if they're lower in quality, they're going to have a lower quality outcome in how you behave, how you act. So really we want to have the focus of our diet be these 4 or 5 components. We can add in some, you know, fun things, less nutrient dense foods like cookies, ice creams, snacks, things along those lines. If each day I'm waking up, I don't feel rested, I don't have any energy, you know, I can't recover from my workouts, or you're just tired at the end of the day, you have to look at your diet. You have to look at the quality of your foods, and you have to make changes there.